Vic Mullen, grumpy old Scotsman. How you all doing? Before we get into this, I keep meaning to do this every video, but I end up forgetting to do it. Down there, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe. There's about, 60-70% of the people that are watching these videos aren't subscribed. I think the videos are showing up and recommended in search a lot because they're getting a lot of views compared to the subscriber base. But yeah, hit the sub button down there. It helps the channel a lot, especially in the search algorithms. So, Donald Trump, the President of Peace. That's what I'm going to call him from now on. Don't believe me? Run a search in Google of how many peace processes that Donald Trump and this presidency had his hand in. It would amaze you. Some of the wars and civil wars that Donald Trump had a hand in calming down. I didn't even know those wars were going on. There's a lot of sub-Saharan civil wars going on right now that Donald Trump had a hand in calming down. Okay, some of them, the wars are still going on, but he's trying to calm the tensions down. It's amazing. Amazing how many peace processes Donald Trump's got his fingers in. Amazing. Of course, the latest big one is, of course, the Hamas-Israeli war. Now, the whole deal about this is essentially Hamas lays down their weapons, gives up control of the Gaza Strip, and gives up control of the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and an international police force, including Egypt, Turkey, and I think Saudi Arabia. So 3 of the big players in that area, including those 3, are going to be sending international independent police to patrol Gaza and the West Bank, essentially taking control away, majority control away from Hamas as a terrorist organisation. And what they're wanting to do is essentially break the cycle. And it is a cycle. And this is something these pro-Palestinian domestic terrorist supporters don't want to admit. More about them at the end of the video, by the way. It's a cycle that's been going on and on for a very long time. So a peace process is signed between Gaza, the West Bank and Israel. Peace process is signed. Israeli Defence Force pull out and the Israelis go do their own thing. And then for the next 3 or 4 years, billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of foreign aid floods Gaza and the West Bank. Do those billions of dollars reach people on the ground? Are those billions of dollars used to introduce modern technology, modern transportation, modern ways of redoing an electricity grid, an electricity supply, modern ways of distributing water, modern ways of revamping government? No, 80% of it goes into Hamas's back pockets, and they spend it on digging tunnels to get closer to the Israeli border. They spend it on rockets, they spend it on ammunition, and they spend it on guns. Don't believe me? Well, the International Monetary Fund actually released a statement about 1.5 years ago which basically confirmed what everybody thought. Hamas was skimming the majority of foreign aid supposed to be directed at the Palestinian people. And this is not the first time they've done this. Every single major peace treaty, every single one of them that has been signed either back during the day of Yasser Arafat, when he led the Palestinian Authority, or the new Palestinian Authority under, I can't remember his name now. It's a new guy. He was a former diplomat for the United Nations, I think. He's the new leader of the Palestinian Authority. I can't remember his name now, but yeah, the old PLO and the new, the old PLA and the new PLA, along with Hamas. Doesn't matter who signs the peace treaty. It's guaranteed within 3 to 4 years. Hamas pops up and starts lobbing rockets at Israel. And Israel is forced to respond because Israel's under attack. And it's always the same pattern. Always the same pattern. Break the treaty. War, 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 war. And it's round about this point where Hamas starts begging the international community, oh, look at us, the bad Israelis. Sorry, you started the war. You started it. At no point in time does a country who starts a war have the right to complain to the international community that they are losing the war they started. Douglas Murray. I don't agree on a lot of things with Douglas Murray, but that quote from him, perfect. Perfect. It's the same pattern. It's the same pattern. Start a war. Oh, look, we're losing the war. Let's cry. Let's cry. Pallywood. That's what it's called. Palestinian Hollywood. Pallywood. Cry. Look at us, international. And war. Keep losing, keep losing, keep losing. Down at the bottom of the swing. Sign a peace treaty. Sign a peace treaty, because Israel's basically wiped out most of Hamas, and then spend all of this time here buying weapons, buying ammunition, recruiting more people for Hamas, digging tunnels. Top of the swing, start another war, and the cycle just keeps going round and round and round. Israel's fed up with it, obviously. Egypt are desperately fed up with it. Desperately fed up with it. Jordan, desperately fed up with it. Turkey, desperately fed up with it. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates as well, desperately fed up with the cycle. For the first time ever, a peacekeeping force led by a United States president, brokered by a United States president, is going to put together a peacekeeping force that is not based in the United Nations. The UN's going to have nothing to do with this. It's going to be an independent international peacekeeping force, bundled in with the old Arab League nations. Egypt, Turkey, I think Saudi Arabia. I don't think Jordan's taken part in this, but I think Saudi Arabia. They're all taking part in this, because all of the countries, most of, not all, because again I don't think Jordan's taking part in it, all of the countries surrounding Gaza, and more especially Israel, they're fed up with it. They are royally fed up with it. Egypt to do mostly with tourism, because who the hell would want to go to Egypt, look at some pyramids and stuff, when about 200 to 250 miles north, there's people shooting each other? No. Egypt's tourism has collapsed over the past 2 years. And Cairo and the parts of Greater Cairo, along with the obviously Giza Plateau, they rely on tourism. They rely heavily on tourism. And it's not just Egypt that are thinking the same thing. Turkey, even though they're further up north and not technically part of the Arab Middle Eastern area, but they're bloody close to it, they're fed up with it as well. They're all fed up with it. But they have to break the cycle. And it looks as if Donald Trump, along with the negotiators, have came up with a way to break that cycle. Remove Hamas from their seats of power and bring in what is essentially an independent international government, not led by the US, but steered essentially by the Middle Eastern major countries with international support. Put them in place in the government for Gaza and the West Bank, and that way they'll probably skim some money, because that's what usually happens with foreign aid, but most of those billions and billions of dollars that's going to flood Gaza and the West Bank, because you know it will when foreign aid starts to kick in, most of that will actually make its way onto the ground for the benefit of the Palestinian people, for the benefit of the Palestinian territories. The cycle is hopefully going to be broken. Hopefully, because if Hamas was to remain in power, like the past two signed peace accords, it'll be a 3 to 4 year wait for Hamas to gain more members, to gain more ammunition, to buy more rockets, to buy more explosives, and to buy more guns, and another attack on Israel, and the whole cycle starts again. Hamas getting it, ooh, we're losing. Well, you started the war, it's your fucking problem, not ours. Not ours. But yeah, Donald Trump, the peace president, I actually think he should get a Nobel Prize. I honestly do think. If you don't, I know some of you are laughing. You can't be. Look it up. Look it up. The amount of peace processes that Donald Trump has got his hands in, and this is only his first year in power. The only other president that's came close to the amount of peace processes that Donald Trump's been involved in. Well, with that, there was actually two from what I remember. Ronald Reagan during his first 2 years, not his first year. Ronald Reagan and I think Bill Clinton. I think I'm right in saying Bill Clinton, during his first year in power, he took on a lot of the civil wars that were happening, again in sub-Saharan Africa, some of the civil wars that were happening in lower Asia as well. Bill Clinton had a hand in calming down. Donald Trump's following in their footsteps. I honestly think he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. Honestly think he should. But I think the Nobel people are waiting until the Russia-Ukraine war ends to see if Donald Trump puts his hand in there, which he already has. But the fact that Donald Trump has managed to get the old Arab League nations to essentially agree to an international peacekeeping force, not led by the United Nations, but to remain independent, to patrol and safeguard Gaza and the West Bank. Not even Barack Obama could do that. And he tried. Yeah. Got to hand it to Trump. He done the trick. So here's the question. I'm already, 10 minutes into this video, and I'm only actually broaching the main subject now. The pro-Palestinian marches. I'm going to make this part short and sweet. These probably not, because I've got a habit of rambling. Okay, forget the short and sweet part. These pro-Palestinian marches that are going on in London and other parts of the UK, along with other parts of Europe and some places in the United States, they've never been about peace. They've never been about peace. Why is it when CNN, or was it the BBC, it was either CNN or the BBC, interviewed one of these pro-Palestinian marchers, I think it was during the weekend just past there, when news was starting to come out about the formalities of the peace protest and the fact that the peace protest is, or not the peace protest, the peace process, and the peace process is actually going forward. Why is it when one of these pro-Palestinian marchers was asked about Donald Trump bringing peace to Palestine, the pro-Palestinian marcher said this: "It's not Donald Trump's business." Direct quote. And I'm sure it was either CNN or the BBC, which means the video is still going to be up somewhere on YouTube. It's not Donald Trump's business. And here's the thing. He's not the only pro-Palestinian marcher who's got anti-Trump sentiments. They are angry at Donald Trump for bringing peace to the Palestinians. Now you've got to ask yourself this question. Why? Because here they are, these pro-Palestinian communists, domestic terrorist supporters, because a lot of them support Hamas, marching up and down London, waving their flags, giving it, stop the genocide, even though it was never a genocide, stop the genocide. So Donald Trump, along with the old League of Arab Nations, steps in and goes, okay, there, your genocide that's not a genocide has been stopped. You would think they would be cheering. You would think they would be happy. You would think they would be thanking President Trump, along with the President and Prime Minister of Egypt, along with Saudi Arabia and along with Turkey. You think they would publicly welcome the fact that the old League of Arab Nations got in lockstep with Donald Trump to bring peace to the Palestinian people. But no, they're not. They want the war to continue. They do. They want it to continue. They were angry at Donald Trump stopping the war. Why? Well, look at any footage of pro-Palestine marches that went on in London. Look for angles that cover the front, not the middle, not the back, the front of the march, because it's always the front of any protest march that has all the big names involved. And look closely at what you're seeing. Pay special attention to the black flag with Arab writing on it. pay special attention to the green headbands that a lot of them seem to be wearing 3 or 4 layers deep. The black flag with the Arab writing is Hamas. It's the Hamas support flag. The green headband with Arab writing along the front and Arab writing on the left side, from what I remember, Hamas bands. Hamas headbands. This is my prediction for the next pro-Palestine march, which I think there's going to be another one this coming Saturday. I bet that none of the front of these marches are going to do the one major thing that they should do if they were all about the Palestinian peace process, if they were all about keeping Palestinians safe. I bet none of them denounce the public executions that Hamas is now doing against the Palestinian people. None of them will denounce it. I make a bet that that will happen. I'm going to do a second prediction here, folks. If another pro-Palestine march is going on in London this weekend, which it probably will, I've got a gut feeling that there's going to be more of those black flags being flied, and more of the front of that march wearing the green headbands. Because here's the thing about the pro-Palestine marches. Number one, they've never been about peace in Palestine. Number two, it's never been about freedom and liberty for the Palestinian people. Number three, it's never been about a solid foundation bedrock in order to build a peaceful process for the Palestinian people. Because if it was about bringing peace, why are none of them celebrating Donald Trump's peace process? Why are none of them celebrating? I'll tell you why they're all celebrating. I'll tell you why not celebrating. I'll tell you why they're all going to be protesting this weekend. Because they want the war to continue. They're angry with Donald Trump for shutting the war down. They're angry with the old League of Arab Nations, Egypt, Turkey, and I think Saudi Arabia, for getting involved. They're angry with all of them for stopping Hamas. Why are they angry? Because most of the front of these pro-Palestinian marches are full of Jew haters. Simple fact, they are. They're full of Jew haters. They want to see more Jewish people killed. They want the war to continue. They want Hamas to keep killing Jewish people. They want Hamas to keep invading Israel from the river to the sea, as a lot of these pro-Palestinian marches have started shouting recently, from the river to the sea. They want the genocide of Israel. That's what they want. But if Donald Trump's peace plan goes ahead, and if Hamas don't screw up and force Donald Trump's hand to send US troops in, which I think he said he would do, because he did say if Hamas don't give up their weapons, we'll force them to. That's Donald Trump's own words. Now that either means sending Israel back in, or this time US troops, boots on the ground. Now I don't know what Donald Trump's thinking, if it's going to be Israel going back in or US troops going back in, but Hamas are now up against a rock and a hard place. Because Israel have killed off probably about 3/4 of their members. Hamas as an organisation are bankrupt because Iraq is bankrupt and no longer able to send billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars down to Hamas to buy more weapons and buy more ammunition. Because what did Donald Trump do to Iraq? Major sanctions. There goes all your money. That was it. The money dried up. Hezbollah, bankrupt. Hamas, bankrupt. Why do you think Hamas wants the peace process now? Because they've got no money left. Yeah, you've got to hand it to Trump. He played his cards bang on right. He played his cards bang on right. But these Free Palestine, whatever, marches that are going on, if I was the Prime Minister and I was looking at news footage, seeing pro-Hamas flags being flown, seeing some of the protesters wearing pro-Hamas green headbands, the first thing I would do is phone up the Met Police. The second thing I would do is order the Met Police to send in 2 riot squads with dogs. And the third thing I would do is order them to round up these pro-Palestinian domestic terrorist supporting communists and throw them in jail and then lose the key and let them rot in jail for the rest of their natural life. But that's me. And thankfully, I'm not the Prime Minister. Instead, we've got Communist Keir Starmer, who's scared of the Palestine marchers. Why is he scared? Well, because they had a protest, a mini protest, pretty damn close to Downing Street, people. They attempted to set cars on fire. They were beating up police. Did the police arrest any of them? No. But you can bet if it was a far-right protest, in other words, men, women and children protesting about their kids being gang-raped by Pakistani Muslim rape gangs, and they were out beating up police officers and trying to set cars on fire. Oh yeah, Keir Starmer would be all over that. Lock them all up. Lock them all up. But the minute it's Palestinian marches, you see, there's Keir Starmer over there. He's running away, leaving a trail of shit behind him, because that's the kind of person Keir Starmer is. Yeah. Utterly crazy. Anyway, well done, Donald Trump. Well done, Donald Trump. Got to hand it to him. He done the job. He done the job. Hopefully, this peace process goes the full road. The only stumbling block is going to be Hamas, because they're not going to be willing to give up power this easily. But I don't think they've got a choice now. They don't have the money. They don't have the manpower, they don't have the weapons, and they don't have the ammunition, because they can't get weapons and ammunition because Iraq is now bankrupt. Well, Iran, is now bankrupt again because Trump put the sanctions back on them. So there's no money filtering down to Hamas, unlike what Biden did. See, in a way you can kind of blame this on Joe Biden, because what did Joe Biden do? He lifted all the sanctions that Trump put in place to shut down Iran. Hundreds, well, it wasn't hundreds, it was something like, it was definitely tens, it was up there, tens of billions of US dollars flooded into Iran. Hezbollah pops back up out of nowhere. Hamas pops back up out of nowhere. Why? Well, because they're both terrorist organisations, and the country in question is a terrorist sympathising country. Take the money away, it all collapses. And that's exactly what happened to Hamas and Hezbollah, because the money essentially ran out. Yeah, that's it from me, folks. Have a good one.